So are you using the YouTube streaming thing? Yeah. We're using Google Hangout for YouTube. So that's it's okay. You should use like Twitch or something. It's not.
Well, then you want to
so
come
much
on
game.
over here and double check with me?
It's like Google Hangout.
Google Hangouts is actually superior to Skype and they have less glitches, but
Is it?
yes.
So this says it's broadcast.
I mean, it still has lots of glitches, but
Okay, so we're doing this one.
okay. Except for the fact that it's pretty heavily delayed.
Well, it's automatically delayed.
It takes a second.
It's still layouts. So.
Okay,
Ah.
we're good.
It's about a minute behind. But it's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, there we go. But thank you guys.
Nathan,
You guys give me a better idea.
so with notes, do you mind if I record what people say?
Yeah, if you get it as close to verbatim as possible.
Sure.
No problem. And then especially when it comes to the vote, we need the vote recorded. That's
And how each person voted, right?
That's essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want, you can record them, it's good, you go vote on that. And you can comment.
I mean, I have the list.
It's fine, it's not good.
Alright, I'm gonna go.
Oh, shit. All right.
Okay, I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. I'm gonna proceed to roll call. Senator McGowan, Senator Feld, Senator Zamora,
Here.
Senator Wong, Senator Cox,
Here.
Senator Spatafore,
There.
Senator Yvonne, Senator Yvonne. Why can't we hear you, John?
She doesn't have her microphone on, or she's stuck.
Jake, can you turn your microphone on? Now it's off.
Here.
Yeah, we can hear Austin, we can't hear Jay. We could put Austin up here and Jay on the call. If you want.
You sure the volume on the TV's up?
Yeah, because Austin can talk, it's just Jay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Like especially
Yeah.
like on the like on
Yeah, but we couldn't look for it.
The microphone.
Never speak more. Jade, can you speak for
I
us?
think she's on mute.
No, she isn't.
Jay, try to talk.
This is good text.
We can't hear you.
Okay.
Oh.
Don't
Okay, talk again. Okay, now Austin talk.
Hello.
Okay, now Jay talk.
Hello.
Okay. Now call Jay's name again.
Okay, Senator Yvonne. Here. Okay. Senator Miller,
Here.
President Tapscott. Here. Vice President Boyd.
Here.
Vice President Hopland. Here. Chief of Staff Drew. Director Pasqua. Director Jackson, I don't know how to say that.
Here.
Okay. Director Rodriguez. Director Brody,
Here.
Director Barry, Director Harrison, Director Udea.
Here.
Next, we will proceed to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Nay. All opposed, say nay. Okay, agenda approved. There's no audience, so we don't need to involve the audience. Okay, so next we will proceed to Senate Bill 1. Is there a motion to discuss Senate Bill 1?
I have to discuss Senate Bill 1, you give the floor to moderators to author Senate Bill 1.
All in favor of discussion of Senate
Point of
Bill?
order, no second. I second motion.
All in favor of discussion of Senate Bill 1, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay. So, I did not actually write the bill, I put my name on it because, yeah, Kat wrote it, so I'm gonna give the floor to Kat.
So we're proposing a bill to fund the Dun Transportation Service. So this is a transportation service that will transport students around the downtown campus, and the surrounding areas. So all the details of that are outlined in option 3, on the Dun Transportation, or on the brief that we sent out, transport service options for areas in downtown. It will, you can go. Okay. So it will run 6 days a week that we're paying for, and 1 day that we're looking to get paid for by Safeway. So we'll be looking for a sponsorship for that. However, we did put in a request in this legislation to fund for the $37,950 that is the total. So it will be running Monday through Thursday from 6 to 9:30 p.m., Friday and Saturday from 6 to 9 p.m., and Sundays from 1 to 4 p.m. So this is up for discussion. This is the option that we're proposing. You can vote to accept this option as it is, or you can vote and decide to make changes to this option as well.
What does looking, what does, any way to fund the Sunday trip, looking at it so far?
What is it looking like so far?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a chance to speak to someone from Safeway yet, so we'll be looking into that option.
So right now, it's just not really a possibility.
Well, the thought is that most likely we'll bring in a lot of revenue for Safeway, so hopefully that they will agree to sponsoring us on that, but we have not been able to make contact with them yet, so.
I vote to drop the cityscape route, or you can just keep it. I vote to drop the cityscape route.
So all of the routes are negotiable, if you will.
Okay, point of order. What we have right now is that I believe what happened was you asked a question of Kat, well, Kat had the floor. Kat still has the floor right now, so basically she will finish up her thing, then you can make an amendment.
You would move to amend.
Okay, so Kat can do
So other questions for Kat, because it's still discussion with Kat right now.
So the 2 routes, the Sunday route and then all the other rest of the ones, are we able to do separate contracts for those? Or they only do the $5,000 option for Sunday and do the other?
What do you mean?
Can we, if we choose to, can we just do the $5,000 option for Sundays and then continue to look for other options for transportation or work on modifying this one?
Yes, if you vote to only approve the Sunday route, those hours on Sunday, you can absolutely do that.
And the company's fine with that, that's all I want to make sure.
We will be fine with whatever we move forward with them.
Well, what is the reason behind the cityscape route?
So the Friday and Saturday routes are just intended to transport students around the nearby downtown campus or around close to the downtown campus. So if they wanted to do more activities in the evening, they would have a safe transportation for students to transport to those locations.
Now, will this go with just on-campus students in mind? How does this benefit off-campus students?
So for off-campus students, the intention on the Monday through Thursday route would be to help them get to their parking. So it would go down around 3rd Ave. And so it would help them get to parking on those places. So the 2nd Ave lot, the 4th Ave lot, those locations, and then as well as taking students around to Roosevelt Point and surrounding area around Roosevelt.
To go for the cityscape on Friday and
So
Saturday?
those would be more beneficial to on-campus students than off-campus students, and as well as the Sunday grocery store. Okay.
I'm sure it's in here somewhere, it's just buried in all the files that have been sent out for the past few days. But how much is the cityscape road costing us?
Wait, can I do a quick calculation?
Of course.
It's, because it's 55 hours, or $55 per hour, sorry. $55 per hour, 6 hours. So that one itself, looks like it's about $9,900.
All right, are there any more questions for Kat? Maybe get back again.
Regardless of like regardless of all the logistics behind the routes, the fact is that Senate Bill 1 is very bare bones and kind of seems like a rough draft. So I would not recommend passing this even if we were to come to agreement because and I'm going to paraphrase and quote really this. It essentially boils down to whereas the transportation services it needs to be funded fully, payments will be made to the service, so we will pay them. It kind of seems less like a bill and more like just an action. I recommend we could take this to a Senate caucus and add more supporting statements behind this, such as noting that the previous system, the previous transportation system, could be reworked to make this transportation system more utilized by students and things of that nature. I get my time.
Is there a motion on the table or do we want to keep discussing?
Well, I really have a question. I'm willing to say to the group about my feelings on this and where I think we should go. That's just worth your time. Okay. I think what we're working with is we're not all focused on the same focus as what we hear. As a student that has his own car, doesn't live downtown, I understand the need for transportation to get our downtown students to the place to buy food on a weekly basis. I sort of understand the need for transportation routes to get people back and forth to the various parking lots because parking here is atrocious. It's my understanding that it's not necessarily a security issue, it's more of a nice to have issue. Like the ability for students to get from the various areas downtown. With that being said, we have multiple options that I think we could look at and very different ways of working at this. I think to include the niceties of the route they were discussing, which was that the cityscape route, which goes to all very nice areas on Saturday and Sunday. That's not really what we need to provide transportation for. They're here for school. They live on campus. We need to get food, and we probably should do something to help our students, especially in the evening, in the darker hours of Phoenix. Does that necessarily need to be a hardcore shuttle service? I think we need to look more outside the box. We need to look at the police routes. I mean, there's various things we can do to provide more security, that could be significantly cheaper for us. And you only pretty much have students on here at night. I would say no more than 1,000 based on the quick analysis I tried to do on the fall schedule at night. And a lot of them are coming most likely through the light rail. So that's just where I stand, and I could go in much more detail. I kind of try to look at things, get some estimates. Originally I was gonna recommend look at a taxi service, but honestly, if we can get away with paying $5,000 for 9 months of Sundays, unlimited people between those hours, we're doing great. Because a taxi ride is going to be roughly $12 both ways. I do think we should make limitations on that if we're going to do 2 people. We should negotiate with the company to say, how often is this route going to go? Every half hour on an hour, an hour, every 15 minutes? So the students have that stability. But the students are also going to have to be told that, it's not going to show up when you want it. It's going to show up as soon as it can. And I think with the 3-hour window that we have, with this 3 hours. So my recommendation, when appropriate, would be to separate the 2 and continue to work on the other ones as quickly as possible. But I also, as I voice my opinion, some of the other people, this school has a stake in this. I mean, the school administration, this is the security of their populace, the parking of their populace, the living of their populace. So for us to go this alone, I think we're going to miss the mark. We should have at least section of all parking, transit, wherever we wants to. And I think I've said more than enough, so I'm not going to.
Just a quick question. Does everybody know the history behind this?
I mean, I got the basic history that we were looking at. It was sort of a security concern, and it was complaints. Other than that, I don't know if there.
Okay, so this conversation actually started about 2 years ago. The original conversation was having golf cart service here downtown, where student government would essentially be the police, the safety escort service, very similar to Tempe. Golf cart services was highly not recommended by the city, so ASU police, but also Phoenix police, just due to downtown's interior compared to the Tempe campus. The other piece was a discussion about safety and security. We asked a question about safety and security. The next discussion really focused on student services in regards to police aid or police safety escorts. So the conversation we actually had with the police, ASU police, so the commander for downtown in regards to services, what that looks like, what are their complaints. The biggest complaint was the fact that in regards to police aids they have downtown, they typically would have maybe 4 police aids that would do escort service during the evening time. Of that, typically there was that peak time between that 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock time frame where they saw most of their services. And what it was is that you have 4 police aids, and you typically would have about 15 to 20 people that are asking for services. With that, what the police aids would do is actually walk you to different places as opposed to driving. So if I'm a student who's actually parked over on 4th Ave, but I'm actually taking classes over at the Mercado, I can get services, but if there's another person who's doing the same thing, that whole timing piece. So students were more concerned from a customer service aspect. So student government actually wanted to actually find a way to, golf cart was not the way just because of that. So we started looking at different shuttle services. And that's how the whole trolley aspect came in there. In regards to the funding piece, we originally tried to put it as a one-time request with when we submitted the budget. As part of that, it actually turned out to not be a one-time request. There were other things we were asking for, and it was actually put into the budget. As part of the budget, it was basically stated that, okay, this is how much you have. As part of that, you can actually put this amount toward that, which was, I want to say it was 26,000. So it was 26,000 plus advertising. Now the advertising piece, that was completely separate and actually came out. It didn't come out of student fee, it actually came out of the operations budget, which is a completely different bucket of money. In regards to going into this year, you all had a discussion about that, what that looked like. I think both groups were kind of going back and forth on whether or not this was an official service or not. The challenging piece with that is that students who were coming into the university were recommended or actually informed about this stuff as orientations, free college visits and things of that nature about this service being on campus. So the other piece was that, okay, is this service gonna happen or not? So for me, from an administrative standpoint, was asking the question, is this service gonna happen now? Because students have already been told this service is gonna happen. Now, I understand the concerns about what the service was like last year. I'm gonna be honest with you, the service actually sucked last year because the only people that were really pushing it is you're looking at. So when I asked the question of really asking for not only senators, but also exec board members to, really push this thing because it's actually you all's money that you're all responsible for it, we didn't really get it. I mean, we got a few people who actually, marked it here and there, but it wasn't. So yes, the service did suck because it could have been a lot better. Now, from pushing and actually working, talking with the students, as well as what we heard from the company, they made some recommendations and we adjusted some recommendations. One of the biggest recommendations was drop off at Roosevelt Point. Through Roosevelt Point, we actually started to see more ridership. Now, we actually did have frequent riders, as you have students who know, they're taking classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they get out at 9:30, on Parkville on 3rd Ave, and I'm actually taking classes over here in Chicago. Yes, so there'll be a frequent rider. So in regards to ridership, we definitely have those frequent riders. But in regards to what the evaluations and what the surveys that you all received this year, this from the students over the summer, if you all decided to expand it, I think you all perfectly can. Just recognize that in regards to the amount that you all received this year, a portion of that is already been said. You all get this money, and actually put this amount toward that.
Can I continue? Can I add something to that?
Sure.
What I'm not looking at is escorts. We don't need to say escorting. We need to educate people, unfortunately, on being safe. You don't travel alone. There's always somebody else going to that parking lot. And those police officers have bikes, and they have a free Segway, and they have a vehicle. And there's nothing wrong with them patrolling the areas between the parking lots on a regular basis. And there's programs for education of people. Sorry, most of it is focused towards females, but sex assault, defense training, all these things that I would rather train somebody in skills or give somebody equipment that's going to last them a lifetime than just the 3 years they're here. Bringing a class on base sponsored by an organization or by the department, or even paying a small fee for instruction is going to benefit all of our students. It's going to benefit them when they're way away from campus, when they're on spring break, when they're everywhere else. And I understand the need for this transportation, but we're only doing it at night. So if we're not doing it during the day, that tells me the main thing we're worried about at night is security of people. And there's much better ways. Buying another bike for the ASU PD is significantly cheaper and will be more beneficial to the campus than basically buying this company another shuttle that they're going to use 6 hours a week here and use for everything. You know what I mean? So I don't want to go on any further. I'm just saying, mentioning ideas like that, we can go a lot farther, but we don't have anything to do with that.
I know the stuff that you mentioned, those services do exist. We have those on campus, so it's really up to students to.
So I just want to clarify that the intention of the service is actually not safety. It was last year primarily as a safety tool, but found that investing it as a safety trolley was not beneficial to use, and most students, while they feel concerned about safety, it's actually not a huge issue. So really this is intended to help people get from campus to their further out parking lots. And beyond that, I don't think we should necessarily be promoting that someone has to be able to protect themselves in these situations, especially regarding sexual assaults. And then in addition, I want to go back to the briefing had made earlier about the legislation. And so where you're saying that the legislation was written vaguely. Yes, it was written vaguely, but it was written vaguely intentionally to ensure that you were able to amend it whenever you wanted to in order to shape the service how you felt was necessary. So you can amend this piece of legislation however anybody would like to incorporate the message in the survey, or the message in the legislation, to shape the service however you want the legislation.
Yes, I did. Okay. So my opinion on this is, last year we saw what happened with it, and obviously we're not taking the same approach. But a lot of ideas and a lot of things that are very good in this bill are not really thought out. it's not really that well developed, and we're still debating things like Safeway, and also Safeway is only going to be for 3 hours, and if we throw down the money now, Safeway may not be as inclined to strike a deal if it's already set in stone. If we already fund this, then Safeway is going to be less likely to do that. If we say, hey, we're considering you Safeway, then they're going to be willing to step up later. I really think that this has a lot of good ideas, but everyone on campus either has one or two notions of the safety trolley of last year. They're either going to think it's the same thing and they're not going to like it, or they're just going to look at it and just go, how does this really benefit me? And I really think it can do a lot of good, but I think it's too early and that there's really not enough support. Not everything's really thought out. We're still even debating stuff right now. We're still figuring out where it lies and what we should do. I think it's early, and I think we should really talk to Safeway and really see if students can get groceries, and if we can go to someone else other than Safeway. How you?
I do agree with a lot of the points you made. I feel like some of the things, as you said, it's not a safety thing, but it should be. It should be completely a safety issue and not just how can it take me a 2-minute car ride when it's a 5-minute walk from this. The thing that bothers me most about this is why is there even a cityscape there when it's a 10-minute walk? When it adds nearly like $5,000 to the budget to this, that it could come out of other students, that it could, benefit other students in many other ways. For people who don't live on campus and for people who don't, necessarily go out and party, why are we telling people, hey, use this service to go get drinks and to go party at Cityscape instead of, doing things? I personally, if I was a student and I heard that was a drop, and I heard, Cityscape was a drop, I wouldn't want to spend the money on having other students who live on campus that's literally less than a 20-minute walk to get to Cityscape, go and drink when there's many other options to get there. I mean, right next to the dorms is the Arizona Grand. I mean, they have all the other options if they want to, go out and drink. That's much safer than spending $5,000 and having them just go to Cityscape.
Starting with this first, I'd like to say that I'd be in favor. I was on the fence about including a Safeway trip, as I felt like that at first it would only benefit the on-campus students. But thinking more thoroughly into it, I believe that it would be a better option to include the Safeway drop and include the parking lots, but drop the Cityscape drop on the go. That way, it's semi-equal amongst the on-campus students. Cityscape, like Michael said, is 10 minutes away. They can walk. If they don't want to walk, the light rail's right there. I don't see why we should be funding the trip to the Cityscape. I know a lot of people don't walk. That's just me personally. And side question for anyone who might know, I've been hearing a lot of this is no longer a safety service. Are we planning on rebranding it and remarketing it as not a safety service?
Okay, so I'll respond to that question first, which is that we are rebranding it, so it's not just a safety service. It will serve several different purposes, including transporting people to parking, taking them to different options around downtown on Fridays and Saturdays, and to the grocery store on Sundays. So as far as the Cityscape point goes, that was just the draft of a route. You are more than welcome to amend the route. The intention was not just to take them to Cityscape, but it was the idea of we want to help our students be a part of the community around downtown. We want them to participate in activities that are nearby. We don't want them to just feel like they're stuck on campus on the weekends. So we want to give them an option to get to those locations that are nearby. So it's not intended to promote drinking to our students to send them just off to Cityscape to do that. And if we feel that there's a route that would work, and there are lots of different options to amend that route for the Friday and Saturday if we want to keep it up just to Cityscape.
Thanks.
Well then.
Okay, just a quick point of clarification. No one goes to Cityscape to drink. Cityscape has a lot of stores, but there's not really any place that you can really drink up in the restaurants, which you can do anywhere. And I think the point is to get groceries though. So I don't really know if, if going to Cityscape is really all that good of an idea, but I'm clarifying that it's not a place that people are going to go to party. Kind of old people apartments.
Okay, Michael?
One first question. How many who's over 21 in here? There's, not to be mean or anything, but there's a lot of Cityscapes, the center of downtown entertainment for a long time. There's tons of options for the older students to go do that. I for one not comfortable with paying that. Like if it's used to go somewhere out of downtown, like past, like up on McDowell and go that way, that's it's totally fine. But to have something that's less than a 20-minute walk is something that's not okay. It's honestly, in my mind, it's a little lazy for students. And if we're gonna cater to this, it's gonna make our students even lazier when how you learn about downtown is by walking through it. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'll get to Jackson. Did you say?
Oh, I think.
I do, but I feel like that else.
Go ahead, Austin.
I was just gonna ask if like the option to kind of like set some money aside for now and like try to make a more like permanent thing, like buying our own van maybe, and then like eventually adding in budget money to like pay someone to drive that during certain hours. That way, like, I know like it's gonna be like a lot more initially, but it's gonna save a lot of money in the long run compared to having like $18,000 or wherever it is in here set aside for a third party to do it. And like maybe we could be able to do it ourselves. I don't know.
I would caution Austin on that, just because the expense of maintenance and everything, it does build up. It's a limit issue. It's somebody driving without insurance, the keys. I would love to say, yeah, let's get a fleet of them, but I thought about that myself, and my experience would be bad. But what I want to get back to is, let's focus on the students. I think we can all agree that Cityscape doesn't offer a whole lot as far as the necessities, which is what we're here to provide, is the necessities. Fry's offers the necessities, Walgreens offers the necessities, Safeway offers the necessities. I think if we want to put this off, we need to at least walk out of here with an option for our students to go get prescriptions filled once a week, go get food, and take care of the bare necessities. I do think that a buy-in from Safeway or even the Fry's, which is a little bit farther down Central, is definitely a good option, but that will take time to negotiate. I know with nonprofits, Fry's offers a reward program where you can put all your points towards rewards for the program. They may extend that to us in that situation, but that's gonna take at least the semester to figure out. Right now, we have $5,000 just for that transportation, we're looking at $5,000. Why don't we talk to them about doing $2,500 for this semester and go negotiate with those two businesses in the meantime? If we go to both Fry's and the Safeway and say, look, this is your competition, this is what we're looking for, this is what we're trying to do, we have the upper hand. I think we can all agree that the Route 3 is probably not necessary. But I would also say that maybe we should look at expanding if we're gonna eliminate the Route 3, maybe we should look at expanding the hours an hour or two for the other route that goes between the campuses. Our only responsibility to our students is the campus and getting them to their classes and getting them to the parking areas at the most. Once again, if we want to look at larger routes, I really think we need to place this all into options tonight and try and make decisions on pieces of this, especially if that company's that own the work with us. Because we don't want to tell them to buzz off, but we need to be smart about it. My first reaction, I didn't know why we had a city route. It doesn't take me anywhere to go. But I am an off-campus student. I did have class. I have to park at USGD and I have classes for college, so I understand the walk thing. But to do that, we have to be able to keep that route under 15 minutes, or it's useless to people. So those are all other things we kind of got to look at. Whenever we can make a motion on it.
Okay, so then I just want to go back to, first I want to say, I think we should really take a step back from emphasizing the cityscape itself, because it's not about the cityscape place. If you do have cityscape in mind, it's not just a place for people to go and drink. They have lots of different restaurants. They have Chipotle, Fire Guys, Fresh Fruit Donuts, Jimmy John's, Pizza Studio, Potbelly Sandwich Shop, including Sushi Bar, the Arabian Butcher. They have lots of different restaurants. So this is an option to get our students connected with the community so that they're actually able to go off campus on the weekends, so they have easy access to doing things like that. But beyond that, if you do not want a cityscape route, just keep in mind that there are other places that they could go in the downtown area. This route can be restructured, so it does connect them to different places if you do feel strongly that cityscape is not necessary. And I do understand your point, saying that it's not a necessity for the students, but it is our job to create the best experience for our students as possible, whether you're at downtown, and you do have to consider on-campus students when you do that. This helps to make the experience for on-campus students much better. It will give them more access to downtown to make it easier for them to get there. And I think it does add value to those on-campus students. Okay.
I want to bring up the survey that was given out earlier in the summer. I want them to take a quick straw poll, really quick. Raise your hand if you sent out the survey in a way other than social media or over the internet. Anybody here?
Point of information, what do you mean by over the internet?
Mainly social media stuff.
Okay, because they're between email and things. Yes.
So 3 people. All right. I think that while social media is great and I do have a point of this, so don't hold on there. While social media is great at connecting people, you're really limited in connecting people. I'm assuming you guys use your personal social media accounts to post a survey. It's only reaching a certain limit of people who are mainly your Facebook friends, your social media friends, the people who follow you on social media. I think that while that's a good idea, we're really limited to people who said that it was a good idea in the route. And don't get me wrong, I'm actually in favor of a transport system, but I think that we need to actually take a step back and table and tailor on access to students that we don't know or a friend of a friend of a friend on social media. And possibly, this could be done also through the external affairs committee. We have plans of tabling on alternating weeks, so we can definitely ramp that up and getting more of a survey, more results and what have you. That's all I have to say. Good my time.
James.
Yeah, I said something quick. You know, the benefit to opening up the other end is great. It's great for those businesses. It's good for the students. It gives them different options, what they're growing things to do, and the ease to do it. Once again, holding that off allows our community, because I believe we have a part of our government is responsible for reaching out to the community, and getting their involvement and their take on this and their assistance. I think we can make use of that. Those are large businesses, big businesses. If they want to see that regular influx of students, they may want to help us out, and they may not. But we need time to figure that out because they're not going to answer us that quick. So I think that's something we need to ask Al to say, let's go talk to these businesses and see what part they don't have.
Okay, Jake?
I was just gonna say in regards to Cityscape, I disagree that it's not really a necessity to go there. It does have the closest CVS pharmacy. And for me, that's where I do a lot of my grocery shopping, even though it's more expensive. It has the closest, I don't really like to ride the light rail all the way down the Price. But I was just gonna say that the trolley, it was only proposed to run from 4 to 9, and I work in the Cityscape, and walking home at 12 at night, I feel safe. I mean, we have police officers on every corner. It's not really a necessity that it would have to be a safety focus. That 3 blocks is kind of one of the safest parts of the city. So I just don't agree on putting that money into that time at night, just because it's a relatively safe area.
Jackson?
Thank you. Kind of just want to thank everyone for their input so far. It's all been extremely constructive, and I believe that this is the first at the beginning of this conversation. And then just kind of some simple thoughts on this are that we're starting to go in varying directions, what we actually want this bill to be or what to include. And I think there needs to be somewhere in it multiple amendments or new multiple areas of the bills to approve, because we're looking at trying to combine many steps into one bill, and it'll just be a logistical nightmare from everything from thinking how we fund this, but then going back to my view as the director of finance, I'm thinking with Enrique bringing up the idea of rebranding, it's, if I were to look at it as a student organization, I'm thinking, how would I ensure that people use this the same way that I would approach a student organization after funding, which is, how do I ensure people will be this, that sort of thing. It'll be, how do I ensure that this service will be utilized effectively and cost effectively.
So in that time, just if you make a formal clarification on procedures, you may divide the question to vote on multiple parts of this proposal in separate votes. You may also amend this proposal to take other votes. Currently, the bill would approve the entire option 3 as written in the brief. If you want to change just a specific part of option 3, you can try to have an amendment that would either strike, add, whatever you want on that. Or if you feel like you just want to see what happens and what the popular support is for each part of the bill, you can divide the system up, and you can also choose to substitute other options on that brief if you would like. The brief is a tool and you have all of those abilities should you choose. You just have to let us know. I'll get back to you guys.
Okay, remember?
I totally think so, like, go ahead.
Okay, Kat?
So I have 2 main points. So I think Jackson's right in the sense that our conversations seem to be going in a couple of different directions. And the service was sort of designed to solve a couple of different problems. So that's probably why we're seeing this conversation take shape in a lot of different ways. So we sort of, when we were looking for this service, we were looking to, the survey came up with a few different primary problems. The 2 main ones being transportation to vehicles, and necessities to like groceries and stuff. And so those were some of the problems that we were really trying to address. So it does address parking, it does address access to necessities and things like that. So when we see this conversation going in a different direction, because we're trying to shape this service so that it kind of solves a lot of different things, because we can't have a perfect solution, including the fact that a lot of students have a lot of point A to point B service, and with ADA accessibility, it just doesn't seem like something that's actually going to be possible. So this is what we kind of found, and this is what we shaped to create a pseudo solution to each of these problems to try and lessen those. In addition, I'm hearing a lot of questions raised about the hours that were chosen. I think there might be some talk that the hours that were chosen were just thinking about safety. So the evening hours that were chosen were generally just the highest hours that came up in the survey. So those were the ones that people had selected when they took the survey, saying that they wanted the service the most. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're thinking of the hours.
This is just kind of not really a thought, but kind of a question. Should we test a service that push for a service like this, see how it works the first month, and then decide whether or not to fund it for the full year, to see if the peak does occur and to see if it's a service that we would like to continue funding, or if it's just kind of a waste and not so much necessary. I would like to trade with you. I'll be able to agree. Wait, was Kat's spot?
No, she's good. No, all I wanted to say is that actually similar thought I had when we had this discussion at our second, president meeting two president meetings ago, we discussed the fact that I proposed possibly doing like a semester contract. So I was like, well, then we could see it's successful, and then we could cut off the contract after that if it's not, whatnot. But actually, a good point was brought up was we do have to be careful when we do that, just because a company, if they see us being successful, they could use it as leverage to increase prices on us, especially if we argue for a discount. Because most of the time, like with the service last year, we argued for a discount, and we're gonna do that again. We cannot promise that we did that, but we're gonna argue for it. And so it makes it tricky, because I know what you mean, I was kind of the same way, but it does make it tricky, because they could come back and say, well, it's being really successful, we don't want to tell your students they can't have it. But good point.
So as someone who lives off campus, and all my friends live off campus, people that I talked to about this, how do you really market this towards them to make them see the benefit? They don't really live particularly close to where this would pick up. I mean, most of the apartment complexes, houses, the living arrangements downtown aren't necessarily, close. Like, I'm closer to another grocery store than I would be to this, and still not particularly close. Like, how do you market this towards the demographic of people that aren't specifically on campus to make them see any benefit at all? Honestly, sure would. Yes.
Okay, so I think that is maybe a population that would benefit from this service the least, is those who are nearby campus, but not so much that they might drive. For off-campus students, it would be really beneficial for those who have to park farther away, and so it gives them access to that. But otherwise, I'm not sure it would more be trying to market it as this is beneficial to the majority of our students, as well as saying that if you were parked nearby, you could access your parking car, or you could go from the center of downtown, the main part of downtown campus to Mercado, so it would be transported around downtown campus.
James?
I want to address that. I understand that everything we do in student government is supposed to benefit as many students as possible. Maybe it's majority of the students. Something like that, doesn't say every student. I live in Chandler. Honestly, the service does nothing for me. But as senators, as fellow students, we have to understand the bigger story. Just like in greater society, welfare doesn't do anything for me, but I pay the system. We need to market to it like that. Look, these students are in an area that is a dead zone, essentially. Unless you got a lot of money to eat over there by the theater every day or walk down the city street. It does a greater good for the students that are confined to this area. And that's how we market it. There's going to be other programs that are going to benefit our off-campus students more than they're going to benefit this kids aren't privileged, not to be derogatory to anybody, but it's going to benefit the off-campus students more than the on-campus students. And we just have to explain that to people. I mean, that's our job. Everything is good and bad for a reason. There was something else I wanted to say, but I think we are beating a horse a little bit. I think we, as a group, it sounds like we all kind of agree on a lot of the same things. Time focus, the location for the most part. What I would say about the contract negotiation is, if they want our business right now, we can go in there with a caveat that, because we don't need to take care of this during the summer in the future. This is not a good time to handle any of this. Most of our students don't even live here yet. They don't know what it benefits them or doesn't benefit. There's nothing wrong with going into a negotiation and saying, look, we want to establish route 2 and 3, I think it is, if it was me. For the first semester, at half of what you were going to charge us for the 2 semesters. Based on our final determination of the success of the program, we want to be able to renew for the next 2 semesters and pay for them during those time frames at the same price. Or we will see other business. It's a competitive market out there. Phoenix is competitive. I can go find somebody to drive a minivan and never bid right now. So, I mean, we need to levy our options, we need to levy our power. And this gives us a whole semester to look at all these other angles, but still have that guarantee price down the road that we are concerned. And I would much rather spend a little bit of our money for this year So the next semester, when they do their welcome packets, those kids, those people, I'm sorry, I apologize, it's a bad habit, I have kids at home your age. So we can say that this is what you're gonna have, and if you keep using it, your prize says next year's gonna take care of it. So I would like to make a motion, but I don't know when the appropriate time is. So somebody give me a thumbs up when I can. I would do it to you.
I'm just gonna have a little short speech right now. After listening to all your guys' input and words and such, I think that this is definitely a topic that can't be resolved in one night, especially by a little over half the Senate. Where less than half the Senate is actually sitting here present in the room. I don't think this is the smart thing to do, pass the first piece of legislation when the entire Senate's not here. If not work, the legislation itself is not worked out completely. So with that being said, I move to table this to the first Senate meeting on the contingency that there be a caucus at least 1 week prior, so the Senate can hand out the proposal. Is there a second?
Okay, so the motion is to table this bill until the next Senate meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
I'll make a statement too. So the challenging pieces with this, and the reason why I've been pushing for this for the past couple of months to do this whole thing out is whole contract negotiation, getting the contract signed. So a contract doesn't get signed in 1 day. If you all are actually looking for the service to happen the first day of classes, you all need to move forward in this thing pretty quick on whether or not you're going to do it or not. If you wait till classes begin, if you wait till sometime in August, this is going to take some time for them to go back for some prices of companies and yay or nay. And then once that process is set up, then you have to draft the contract, which has to come back to the university. For the university, that takes about 2 weeks. And then needs to go back and get signed and that state when things get started. But even once things get started, so we have to market development and all of those different things. So depending on when you all schedule this and when the first Senate meeting and when the first caucus is going to happen, if it's anything like when classes start, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. And if anybody knows in regards to working with students develop their patterns pretty quickly. So if a student doesn't have or has a pattern or knows a particular service within 4 to 6 weeks, that's typically a pattern. If a student is in a set or doing something consistently for 4 to 6 weeks, that's what they do. So if you try to implement something after classes begin, you're going to basically pour one down the hole.
If we were still in session, point of order. So would anyone like to change their votes right now? Because right now we're in the middle of a vote, so we can't debate. So right now, currently, we are still waiting. We call it the ayes and the nays, and anyone would like to change that vote. Right now, the ayes are going to have it, and the tabling motion is going to pass. If you'd like to continue debating, that needs to switch.
Was there any way for us to still talk about it once we vote to table it?
Well, yes, but you have to rescind the motion if you want to reverse that vote. Okay, withdrawing the motion.
A second.
Well, you withdraw the second. Okay, now we're good.
Ron, if we were to get this done a week before the first week of classes, like a week before the 20th, would we be able to roll it out relatively early, or?
No, to be honest with you, this whole thing, just the contract piece of the university actually receiving it takes about 2 weeks.
So we need to do it 2 weeks before.
That's just that part. The part before that, you have to actually go back and have a conversation with the company to see if they want to do something like that. Then they have to draft another contract. They tell you last year when they drafted the contract, it took about a week and a half for them to draft another contract. So to be honest, we're really behind the 8 ball on this. I hate to put this all out there for you all, but you're really behind the 8 ball. If you want to have this thing roll out the first day.
I would like us to have open, what's the procedure, to have open discussion on what we want from the service.
I move to suspend the rules for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I second. Oh, yes,
Okay, all those in favor of suspending the rules for 5 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
So is this a contracted issue? Like, is ASU contracted out with somebody with the service that they have to use?
You want to have a contract, have a contract, you don't have a contract.
Have we looked at
So we looked at gotcha extensively this summer, and then in the past administration, they looked at a couple others, like the van, and Frank looked at the collect van, and it made exponentially more sense because the insurance, the driver, the car, all that. And then we looked at another AV company here very briefly, but that wasn't gonna work either. Yeah.
I feel like it's a better way to do this. It's gonna cost nearly 40 grand.
So,
So service doesn't say it's possible to bring that to try and. So last year, we had $26, that was actually large project. The student just decided that you actually want to contact the next one. Same service that you want to so what has been added on was extra. So the shuttle service actually the grocery store as well as did the house.
Is there any way for us to get what we got last year? And then, since we would like to have at least a bare minimum of something starting.
So option one is exactly last year. Like Ron's exactly right. The only issue might be more is we were like, we want a flexible service, so we added stuff. The senators right now can actually make it whatever they want. So you can say we want route one and we want to get around $26,000 as long as taxes are happening.
Executive session, legal advice on contracts.
This is one chance to see what we had last year for now.
So last year, we can, but we have to decide on contract. The reason why we did look so in summer is because the contract ended in fall, and we weren't able to deal with the last fall session. Which good advice from Kate, we might try to deal with this fall session, but so we can, but that would have to be a vote yes discussion.
Because I feel like what would be most beneficial for us would to be, if we wanted to roll this out now, we would roll out the bare minimum. You know, it would be, part of the and then we would work out that. And then we would be separate.
Because like one thing that you also be agree on possibly is groceries, so that's a potential solution.
I feel like it'd be most beneficial for us to get that bare minimum, the parking, and, just the parking, like we had last year. And then as the season goes on, I guess, semester goes on, we can, talk to the company and now, so at least we have something instead of having. No.
Yeah, that's where I would take, I mean, the difficulty of it a little bit is that there's so many professionals. You can say no contract, we won't really be able to do the service year unless you try to get it on the spring semester, because Ron's right. You could do where you just do grocery.
You guys have a minute left.
I know, it's really, it's tough because
When
you
you
can't.
get back, you can't do that.
Like if you went to
So I'll go that. I feel like it's most beneficial for us to just push the out right now.
We pushed what we had last. You hit the free thing.
Well, because we're thinking along those lines. I think we have it.
I'll explain what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because I think it's.
Yep, we're back in order.
I vote I move to extend the time suspend the rules 5 more minutes.
Okay, so all those in favor of suspending the rules for another 5 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Do you guys say that?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Is there an aye or no? Yeah.
Also said, look.
Okay.
I say nay.
Okay.
You have to call.
Okay, yeah, the ayes have it, so the rules are going to be suspended for another 5 minutes, coming back in at 8:12.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Hey, how can we get these guys?
So, we're saying you'll probably do one of them. Yeah, so we're saying
You're not gonna be doing it out there. And another second filing, it's.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I got it. Yeah, that's a lot of trips. Saturday, middle of the day on Saturday. That's a lot of hours. Sunday. Saturday. Hi, anytime this 8 hours, this one, that my next one.
No, it's good, I think you're more to look, to make sure you know. Like you want to add it to all the other options, so we're replacing one.
No, I'd like it to replace the same, I mean, it's an expansion of the same.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's extra. So, but I think I get Mark, those things like surprise. They're all linked. Yeah, we were down here.
No, I really said, I learned my.
But this.
Yeah, that's something that's that. They can do whatever they want. They can post that. I'm trying to talk about it.
And I think it's a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
That's all of y'all.
Pretty much every summer,
So the road. Like shaking that.
So there you go.
One more
You laugh. Yes. Like very rush, you know, the cover.
First general Senate meeting.
If he sees it, at least, I don't know.
Okay. Okay, meeting's back in order.
Okay.
So, would anyone like to discuss?
I yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a weird proposal, don't know if any of you guys can see it, I'm gonna keep it short. I'm proposing, just an idea, an expansion on the Safeway route that would go up all the way past, would go to Safeway and also go past Rovo, and would go all the way up to the top, there's Domino's, there's a bunch of other stuff there, and it will cut across here, and right over here, on top of there being a Walmart, there's also Fry's and Goodwill. That provides a very wide array of stuff, you know.
What are the cross sections for that area?
That is near 36th Street, or yes, 36th Street and Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would go up probably, I think, 3rd Street. Yeah, it would go up past 3rd Street. There's a really nice CVS there. It's way better hours than the one down here. Pharmacy isn't open for 4 hours a day. The one down here is terrible. It would have that and a Safeway right there. Go up, provide a lot of services. Ultimately, this would be a 15-minute ride. Now, obviously, it's going to be doing this about half an hour because it will be making many stops along the way. It would do about 2 trips per hour. I propose it run 8 hours every Saturday. The total cost would be $14,000 and is more. It would be cutting back on the other services, and it's about $9,000 more than the current route that is proposed for Safeway. However, there are a lot of businesses involved there, and even if they're willing to just throw us a little bit of money, that could cut the cost down significantly, probably less than $10,000 an idea. I recommend that we think about this and, I don't know, maybe have another meeting later on this week to actually finalize it, because this is just a very, very rough idea that has been made by Google Maps. That's all. I yield.
Okay, Ricky?
The current, the senators here, me, Michael and James, have discussed and agreed upon dropping the cityscape route. At least us three think that dropping cityscape would be a good idea. Jay, Austin just sent me a message saying that we should table the bill, and Jay sent me a message saying that we need more constituent opinions on this matter. But seeing as how Ron said that we're very limited on time if we have to make this all down as serves like right at the get-go, we resolved that this kind of needs to be a thing to happen tonight, or at least get like general rough ideas. We can all come together in a day or two to talk about more. So we've agreed to we come to the consensus that we want to drop the cityscape route and increase the Sutton Safeway route by 2 or 3 more hours. 2 hours. I yield my time over.
Basically, we were looking at, the factors we were looking at were involved, extending it 2 hours on the Sunday, because we believe that it's probably cheaper for us to do it on a Sunday with the company. Getting rid of that other route, leaving the other one the same. We also, our recommendation is to, as we mentioned earlier, split. Go to them with, these are our requirements. This is what we want for the first semester. Barring our determination of the success, we want to be able to go into a contract for the spring semester and next fall semester at the same price, paid during those semesters, so funding isn't an issue on the table. But maintaining that service, this gives us, like we said earlier, a semester to contact all these businesses, look at the availability, look at usage. Most businesses are not going to give us money in this economy, but they're going to give us discounts. They're going to make it worth the students' while, and that's what we want. But it's going to take time to figure that out. This gives us the time. It gets us ready to rock on the first day of school. It gives marketing time. It gives us email time. If we can contact students, we can have this rolling before we move them in on the 16th. If that goes voice.
And with, with that idea as well, brings more light on your idea. If we have more time with the Safeway idea, with the other 2 cityscapes dropped, we can extend that. We can extend that Sunday Safeway grocery route, because it doesn't just have to be for Safeway; it could be for anything. we can make that a longer option now that the cityscape has been dropped, leaving it cheaper for us. That essentially is doing the same thing that cityscape would have done.
And the cost, based on the figures that we had in the original submittal, for one semester would be $20,625. Almost half. I mean, we were looking at 37 before, so.
Was that for a semester or a year?
That's for the semester.
Okay.
Right now, we're looking at 37 for the year, right? So, yes, there's a difference in cost, but it's kind of a gamble to figure out how it goes this first semester. And really, if we're proactive with the students and with our committees, and we have access to service first day school, which was promised to the students. Whether we made a promise or not, we promised that this stuff is available.
All right, I'll try to go with this. So the one thing that I would mention, especially with the whole promise to students, I don't believe it sets a good precedent to be paying for mistakes administration makes. I understand that we're doing this now because it's a safety, the rationale behind that. But at the same time, it shouldn't be this administration promises something and the students pay for it.
I disagree because this was not a service that the administration promised. This is a service that students, as well as during orientation sessions and your college constituents promised. This isn't something that the student's office says you're going to have. This is something that was put out there, parents and students asked about. So being the fact that those services came back to us, we actually made a recommendation, hey, you all should do this because this is the stuff that's coming back. Now, to be honest with you, if this thing doesn't happen, administration is going to take the hit. Not student government. Administration is going to take the hit. Because the thing is that my responsibility is to make sure that you all look good. So even if student government decides to not do this service, and those students and family members have asked for the service to continue, I'm not going to put you all out there. So I wouldn't necessarily say this is administration's promise. I didn't promise anything.
Then in that case, what we got to do is several things here that have been brought up, which is number one, let's not rush into anything. Which is, yes, if you want to do this service, great. Start planning on how you're going to promote it immediately. Because if it's true then that it's basically our fellow students mispromoting that, then well, we need to figure out how it's so popular in orientation, yet it's so underutilized in the real world. Because last year's service, that was 4 days out of the 7 that we have currently, had 269 miles the entire night. So what we can do here still is just don't go off of something just for the sake of basically rushing in and getting large remotes again. It's happened before, and I'm warning you about that. But it is your choice, so go ahead. The rest. So back to you.
I think I first. I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm not looking at mistakes last year. I don't care because the scenery, the environment, the landscape, however you want to look at it, whatever kind of words you want to put with it, with our students, is going to change at least every fiscal school year. So their necessities, their needs, their desires. But if we go with the plan that we're presenting, we evaluate it for this year. We'll have a good idea if we need it next semester. If we need more, we need less. It gives us a minimum standard next year, next school year, when they go into it. Right now, we're trying to do a program in the middle of the summer to meet a need when our population's not even here. I just want, we can call it buyer's remorse, but I'm not gonna have a buyer's remorse if for the first semester of the school year, I try and give the students $20,000 worth of transportation so they can get food and they get to class on time and all that. I mean, I didn't even know there was a student government last year, to be honest with you, so I'm not really too worried about that. But $20,000, I think, is a good investment in the students and getting them set up. And based on what you said, I think I personally would have a real hard time supporting anything established after the first day of school. And coming back for another meeting this week or next week, we'll set ourselves up for failure. We need to walk out of here with a solution, or at the minimum, what we want from this company. Because right now, all we have is the best efforts of you guys going out there and say, what can you give us? And this is roughly what we think we want. We need to refine it a little bit. But I stand by making a motion and pushing through.
I just had a question. So are you all proposing a semester contract or a year contract?
I'm proposing a semester contract followed with a contingent that we get it at the same rates for the following 2 semesters and reset it to where it is being established in the first semester of the school year with those students that are gonna follow through instead of during the summer or after half of the left.
So I unfortunately don't know if the company, they may not allow us to use semester 1. So it's kind of what Jackson and I talked about a little bit too. That doesn't mean that you can't propose it, but just as a warning. They may or may not. They may jump on it. They may not.
I totally understand, but if we don't give them our requirements, we do have, I mean, we have the money, they don't. They want our money. If they go with this, they're taking the gamble that if we extend it, they're gonna see another guaranteed $40-some thousand in their pocket.
I do like it.
Michael, what you have to say?
I did, it's gonna be a little different. So we're, with these expanding routes, and actually I've got 2 things. 2
So I'm gonna,
You can go piece by piece.
I would like these guys to fill in as necessary based on what you and I talked about.
Yeah.
Let's just come up with one bill, you can fix it or not. So I would move to amend the bill, Senate Bill 1, to, that based on an agreement, to implement immediately based on agreement with the contract for meeting our needs of the grocery route on Sundays at 5 hours. I'm sorry, which route was it? The Route 1 parking route at the already established hours for one semester at approximately $20,625. With note that upon our determination of the success, the company will let us reestablish it for the same price the following semester and the next 2 semesters. Does that cover everything?
Yeah, discussed. I think,
Austin?
I don't think that this, let's say, but
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up, bud.
What was that?
I want to say something. How do I say that in Robert's rules? Do I just say something?
Motion is on the floor with a second for a vote. We need an objection for consent.
Motion.
Objection.
Or?
So you're gonna object to the vote, and you two either have to decide whether or not you're gonna withdraw so you can speak, or you can't speak.
Withdraw, so we must speak.
Okay, you go to the floor.
If you're good, Austin, go.
Okay, you think that, like, bill should, that we are approving it, I don't think all of the conditions of the transportation service should be listed in the bill. I think that should probably be like in a plan. Now like it was all outlined, and I think it should be that, it should be us passing that, not necessarily like having like a very specific contract with our transportation service on here. I think it should be like, I think we should take until maybe we can like reconvene on some time where we can, like, between now and Friday, we can get everything worked out, that way it's ironed out. Work for 2 more hours, not really understanding each other, at least like me and Jade. I don't know. We can, the doctor has all that stuff in there, we can go in and edit it, and be like, this looks like a good idea, yes, and I can get it taken care of and then go to approve it, edit it. I'm done.
Awesome, can you use your time? I've been talking with these two, Jade and Austin, talking about our meeting on Facebook, and even though they're here, they actually don't feel like that they're contributing much to the discussion because they're not here with us. And they're the actual discussion pieces. So, even, this brings back to what I said earlier in the meeting, where even though we have forum, it's just essentially 3 of us. And I don't think that's a good idea to at least passing the amendments. We can. That way we can go do a caucus relatively soon. With more, like Austin was saying, and we can have more details and all the more easier. But at least amendments now, you can get some jumping off point rather than just like an ocean of ambiguity.
Yeah.
Like we've been waiting in for the past hour and a half. I need my time.
So, Austin, you have control of the time. You go back to Lauren?
Yes. Okay. I motion to give the floor back to you.
You're good.
Is there any way that we could, per se, pass the bill? Because we're not denying that we don't want this. We're just denying the specifics of it. So maybe we can amend the bill and work on the specifics and the routes another time. Is that something that's possible?
If you go back to her office, like some options.
Okay, Ryan.
So, there are several options here. If you pass a bill with the specifics of the contract in the bill, we have to follow that. Whatever you outline in the bill is specific. We can't get that done, it doesn't happen. You can give us, and this is where the room of discretion comes in with legislation, is what we're doing here is we've asked for an authorization to enter negotiations on behalf of USGD. So we are basically saying, in the original bill, without amendments, was just we go after option 3 to whatever to the best of our abilities. And that would be basically authorizing us to do that. If you put in these specific amendments, then basically it passes, we negotiate to that, or we don't get it done. So depending on this, if you want to make it so like certain things are priorities and certain things aren't priorities, that's where you want to basically, you can basically say, we need to get this or this. It's very literal, it's very precise. And so when you're talking about this, but the thing is, when you're talking about this, if you want to pass something now that says we're trying to get negotiated in, you could do that. But then basically, I would suggest leaving it as vague as possible and then working out those details to put in a second bill eventually, because whatever you pass, it stays that way unless you reconsider it sometime later. So that's kind of the thing there, and which one are you? I'll yield to Michael this way.
So if we amend the bill to say we open negotiations, but set caps will be set at a later date as we enter upon negotiation. Is that possible? So we don't lock ourselves into something that we don't all either agree on, or something that is possible for us.
So what you can do, you can basically, what you can say is you can pass a bill that instructs us to enter negotiations under this idea, some broad idea. We want to get this kind of service. And then at a later date, basically, we specify we're not going to pay more than this, we're not going to get these routes, or we want just these routes. That's all stuff you can specify, or you could even pass a bill today that just said you are allowing the USGD to find a transportation issue that we think will work. You can do that. It's all up to your discretion on us. And Enrique, you want to speak?
Yes, question for Alston's. I have a question for any of you who know this. If you were to pass a bill today, like right now at this minute, how soon would you guys be entering negotiations?
Yeah, they're waiting for our email. So I will just send an email maybe tonight or tomorrow, because if you decide you want to get it done, then we want to get it done as best as possible, which would be this.
Right. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Okay. We approve the negotiation process, the contingency that they have to, that they're able to negotiate, but not until the Senate is in, so we can be and come up with some more specifics later this week.
You want that? Okay, so that's fine if you want to move forward with that, but that's probably just tabling the bill, just because I wouldn't have anything to come with that way, you know what I mean? Unless you say, I would even go with XYZ kind of thing, so just say that.
I was just going to say the same thing, just discretion-wise. You pass anything today, that's the outlines of what we do, and also though we got to remember the negotiation side. So I see other views.
Okay, Austin?
Yeah, that's just what I'm gonna say. I mean, like, I really don't want to pass anything today just for like the sake of passing something. I'd rather like hold off on that and just like table it, really focus on it for the rest of the week, come back with the more refined, like we know what we're doing and like we're gonna get it done kind of thing. Like on Friday or something. That way it's more like,
James,
I was just gonna say, I don't see why we can't come out with our main points for them to negotiate tonight. Really, we're wasting time. We know we want them to negotiate the price. We know roughly what we want to consider it. we want to do it for the whole year, just a semester, and what routes. If we can't make a decision that tonight, then we dropped the ball on this, and we're not going to meet students' needs come the first day of school. I will literally my time.
I can see your point and wanting to get some pass right now, but the only interesting factor for me now is the fact that it really it's just us three in the Senate advocating and we're ignoring we're ignoring a lot of those members in the Senate, such as there and people who aren't really there. I think a lot of us was actually agree to table this to a date this week. That way we're not pushing down unnecessarily but people down the line. So where we can basically lock ourselves in the room, value until we hand on the decent proposal. Later to get it done by week's end. And just start negotiating by week's end.
Jake?
I'm in favor of in the discussion to support with the fact that even though Austin and I are here, I can't hear a lot of what's going on, and I know that wouldn't change in a week, but it would give us time to talk to each other individually, maybe over Facebook or texting or email or something. And I did email the other senators who are present right now to see if they would be available this weekend. I haven't heard back from many of them, but Sloan even said that she wouldn't be available. But even if we were just to, ask them and compare opinions that we could accurately represent them also, I think that would be beneficial, as well as we don't even, I personally don't have a lot of constituent opinion, just because this happens so quickly, and I would like to be able to accurately represent them, because, that's my job as a senator. I'll just move to the discussion until this weekend.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling the bill, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Hey.
Any abstentions? All right, looks like it's tabled. Okay, so next we will proceed to call to the audience. Is there anyone who'd like to? You don't have to speak if you want to.
Well, I just like to say that as a student downtown, Cityscape route should really be dropped because it takes only 10 minutes longer. I work over there at Cityscape. It's not that big of a deal. The Safeway thing, I think that's a good idea because all you need to really go point, and that's a very good route to get connected with because otherwise I'm going to take the light route 25 minutes at Target or Fry's, and that's taking a lot more time.
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here, by the way. Okay, are there any final comments from the Senate?
I'm just a little quick thing, when someone goes to Cityscape to eat, they're just eating food. When they go to get groceries, it's more helpful to have direct means of transportation because then the groceries will come back the way back. Done.
Not really Cityscape isn't really a grocery type of place though. Sure, it's a CVS, but that's the only store.
That's what I'm saying. They can go to CVS to eat food.
Point of order, final statement, one statement.
We need to create some kind of conference or meeting where this weekend, either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where we can all get together and discuss this and have it out before the week's end. So, how are you able to do it?
So, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:41 p.m.?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second? Okay. All in favor of adjourning the meeting at 8:41, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:41.
I just want to say, so all the senators wanting to work on this is awesome, okay? We've been wanting to have everybody on this since the beginning of the summer, which is why we're trying to publish president's meetings and why we're trying to get you all to know about it. So I'm just, what? Oh, well, I don't really care. I'm just saying that I want the Senate to get together, but it's helpful if you can do it as quick as possible, just because if you decide that you want to give the students any more time. you know, you're always allowed to get together and decide